Nicole Provost, and she started, it sounds like everyone here is a leader. You're a leader of this peer support group, you're innovative, and okay, we need to have time away from this larger group so people can be more comfortable. And Nicole was sharing with me that, she had started a choir, Mayday Club youth choir, that also sounds like a very thoughtful, innovative approach addressing what people need. I'll let you talk about kind of who you are and what you've done and the impact you think that makes.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm 23 years old, and as this lady said, I started the Mayday Club Youth Choir, and there's like 4 of them who are parents of choir members here, which is awesome. So the choir is made up of mostly kids with autism, and we started last year, and now we have 46 singers, which is really exciting. So yeah, I was diagnosed with ASD when I was 16 years old. Apparently before that, in middle school, they were all like, yo, this kid needs to get an assessment, but then my mom was all like, no. Except for then when I was 16, I started insisting on wearing a compass to school, and then she's like, okay. So yes, when I was younger, apparently I started to be able to talk when I was only 5 months old, and so my parents thought I was really smart, and that's pretty chill. Then when I started to get really into tap dancing, and I practiced tap dancing so much that I ended up going on to Team Canada for tap dancing, and we traveled to Germany, and we got 2nd place in the World Championships. Yay! And so the only time I started to have problems was after I kind of graduated high school. I know that for lots of people, high school isn't very good, but one thing that I noticed is that no matter if people are nice to you or mean to you, there's still that kind of structure, and everyone knows who you are, and you kind of know who everyone is, and you've got your whole entire day planned out for you pretty much. So I'd say that lots of people in high school don't really realize that that is just a very good thing that they have. And so when that's taken away from you, obviously it's kind of frightening. And I went to university, UBC, to take physics, and I kind of made the mistake of living in the dormitory, and I had this roommate, and I swear to God, every single time she looked at me, she was eating an apple. And I was like, can you not eat apples in my presence? And so I only lasted a month in that dormitory because my roommate complained about me. And so I started traveling to school using a vehicle. So one thing that I did notice was that it was really hard to have lots of friends because at that time I didn't really care very much, and I was feeling very sad that because I noticed that other people were really being successful at things that I was struggling with. They were into more mature topics, and I was just obsessed with Rainbow Dash because she's pretty. And then and I noticed that they were interested in getting like boyfriends and girlfriends and going to parties and stuff, but I really wasn't into that. So I was kind of getting worried because, like, although I had a diagnosis, I didn't really care. I was just like, oh, that's boring. And so then I started to actually care, and I was feeling very, very lonely, and I was feeling quite sad. And so then I decided to go on Xbox Live, and play Call of Duty all the time. And on Call of Duty, I made a whole bunch of friends, except for I would not recommend doing that because I ended up meeting this one boy, and I thought he was really awesome. And he lived in California, and I hadn't really had very many friends throughout my life, so I didn't really know what it was like to be treated respectfully and to be treated really nicely. So this boy was one person that I could talk to help me not feel as lonely, but he would also do things like ask me to send him money or ask me to do kind of like inappropriate things that I didn't really feel comfortable with, but I didn't really have anything to compare it to, so like it's kind of a shame to say, but I really thought that it was normal, and I was all like just doing pretty much whatever he told me to do, and he started ending up saying things like, oh, I talked to your mom and she said she doesn't love you, and I think you should come and live with me in California. And he was kind of weird because then he said things like, I'm going to kill you if you don't do this. And I still didn't understand that that was a bad thing to say to somebody. I was just really happy to have somebody to talk to. But thankfully, I met some kind of nice people who, and when I ended up telling them that, they were all like, yo, that is so messed up. And I'm like, wait, what? And so then, I was like, okay, block. And I blocked him. And then I kind of felt really kind of like lost because even though he was mean, I still didn't really have anybody to talk to. And so then I kind of had the idea. I took a class at UBC from UBC about autism taught by Dr. Warling, who isn't even here today, but shout out to him because he's cool. So yes, I learned that what I had experienced wasn't very rare. And I was kind of like, wow, there's actually other people who do this thing. Oh yeah, and I come from Abbotsford, so in Abbotsford, there's not very many different, you can do certain things in Abbotsford, like Special Olympics, but it's not really very fun or very competitive in Abbotsford, at least. I know some people here closer to Vancouver get to do some pretty cool things. But I was like, it's not really fair that just because of where you live, there's not really anything for you to do. So then all of a sudden I had this idea because I was having a dream about a whole bunch of kids on stage, and they were singing a song called I'd Bet My Life from Imagine Dragons, which used to be cool, but now it's kind of lame. And then in the dream, the kids were all facing different directions on stage, and they were auditioning for America's Got Talent. And I was like, that is so cool. And this image from the dream just kept on appearing to me. And so I'm like, yo, maybe, I wonder why. I was kind of confused as to why they would be all facing different directions. And I'm like, I find that quite appealing. And so then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start my own choir one day. And then all of a sudden I just decided to do it now because I couldn't even stop thinking about it. 3 minutes, okay. And so then I kind of started to pursue it. And every single day I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, yo, what would help me to do something for the choir this morning? And I was going to different meetings, and then I ended up getting invited to go to a transition fair to present about it, and then adults started asking me to go to coffee with them, and I'm like, you're like 30 and you asked me to go for coffee. And then everything just kind of fell into place, and now there's lots of kids in the choir, and in there I made lots of friends because lots of them are my own age and we're all just BFFs. But one thing that I really, really try to show them is, I often point out when the audience is clapping for them, I'm like, they are proud of you and they think that you've done something good. This is what it feels like to have somebody who's proud of you. And I say to them, because lots of times they like doing group hugs, and I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like to be loved by somebody, and when you're here with us, this is what it feels like to be accepted, so that hopefully they don't have to make the same problems that I had by being confused about what was a good feeling and what was a bad feeling, because I don't know why, but sometimes it's hard to distinguish between the two of them. So yes, and another thing that I really noticed is that because the kids have like a really strong goal in the choir. Like their goal is to put on good performances, and they actually want to audition for, one minute, they want to audition for America's Got Talent too, yay, and they also want to get onto Ellen. So it's really helped bond them together, having a common goal and also a common fear, because many of them have PTSD and anxiety and stuff, and going on stage isn't easy for them, but having each other by their sides has really helped bond them together and kind of helped reinforce their little friend thingies, and we watch movies and stuff. So yeah, has it been a minute yet? 30 seconds? Okay, I have a Sphinx, which is a bald cat, and his name's Lunar Quest, and I love him so much, and because I recently moved into a basement suite, and my landlord was like, yo, you can't have a cat because my husband's allergic to cat fur. And so I'm like, could I get a Sphinx? And then they're like, okay, time's up.
You know, I really see the relevance in that story about the cat, because I see how that ties into other things in your life. Because I was just thinking about how you took something that was hard, this experience of, hey, I didn't know what it felt like, and I have, you know, to have a good friend and to know what that means, and it turned out to be kind of risky, right? And you turned that into, I want to tell other people this is what it feels like to, you know, to be, you know, someone's proud of you and it feels like to have a friend. And so you took that experience just like you took this experience of, I can't have a cat, to, I'm going to, you know, use my problem-solving skills and initiative and innovation to tackle that problem. Yeah, so I think that is very related. And something that Nicole mentioned earlier when we were talking, and what stood out to me about this choir that she started, is were talking about how that was a common interest and a common theme, which then turned into social interactions and supports, where sometimes it's hard when you have this social group that you're supposed to go to, but you know, not really was supposed to do there, you're supposed to socialize, but doing it around this theme or goal was really helpful. So I think, gosh, so many great ideas and programs that you guys are involved with. Oh,